Hello and welcome to Runneeti, brought to you by Bad Brick 7 and CricTracker. Dealt with a bit of setback early on, New Zealand responded brilliantly to first post 167 and then register a thumping 65 runs win against Sri Lanka. To discuss more about the game, we've got Wasim Jaffer and Stuart Law, and here's how the match panned out. New Zealand winning the toss, opting to bat first, reduced to 15 for 3, but after that, it was this partnership for the fourth wicket between Glenn Phillips and Darren Mitchell that saw them to safety. And then Glenn Phillips stepped on the accelerator to ensure New Zealand got 167. As far as bowling is concerned, Rajitha did well to pick up 2 wickets. Dhananjay Silva also got a wicket, and so did Vanindu Hasaranga of the last over of his spell. अगर श्रीलंका की बल्लेबाजी की बात करें तो उन्हें भी शुरुआती झटके लगे और उस झटकों के बाद श्रीलंका प्रॉबेबली रिकवर नहीं हो पाई और जिस कारण इवेंचुअली 102 रन पर ही सिमट गई। लेकिन शुरुआत ऑफ कोर्स करेंगे न्यूजीलैंड की बल्लेबाजी के साथ। और वसीम, जिस तरह की पारी ग्लेन फिलिप्स ने खेली, थोड़ा वक्त लिया क्योंकि टीम को झटके शुरू में मिल गए थे, लेकिन उसके बाद जिस तरह से अपनी इनिंग्स को पेश किया।
फैंटास्टिक मेगा, आई मीन सिंगल हैंडेडली आप कह सकते हो कि ग्लेन फिलिप्स ने ये मैच श्रीलंका को हराया है। मतलब 5 रन पे 3 विकेट, 6 रन पे 8 रन पे 4 विकेट और उसके बाद आकर 104 रन बनाना। और 104 जो बनाए हैं वो ऐसा नहीं कि 200 रन में बनाए हैं, 167 में आके 104 रन बनाए 64 बॉल में, 10 4 4 सिक्सेस, जहां पे दूसरे बैट्समैन ने ऑलमोस्ट 2 बाउंड्रीज मारे और 1 6 मारे। तो कितना बड़ा डिफरेंस है। आई मीन यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि वो कंप्लीटली जैसे दूसरी पिच पे खेल रहे हैं, ऐसा लग रहा है। बट फैंटास्टिक, एक तरह से डाउन एंड आउट लग रहे थे। वो ड्रॉप कैच कहीं ना कहीं श्रीलंका को बहुत खलेगा। वो निशंका का जो ड्रॉप कैच है, दैट प्रोबेबली हैव कॉस्ट देम द गेम, but Glenn Phillips, fantastic knock, 8 for 4, and to play a knock like that, absolutely outstanding.
And there was a tough chance that was grasped by Shanaka as well. But coming back to Glenn Phillips' batting and how good he was, particularly towards the death against Thikshana, there's one thing that stands out to me: the way he was manipulating the bowlers and the boundaries. Stuart.
Yeah, look, he's a power hitter as well, Glenn Phillips. So I thought, to walk in, at a time when your team really needs you. Darryl Mitchell's coming back. It's his first game back from a broken finger for a long time. I thought they did a really good job of rebuilding the innings. They stopped the wicket flow. They nullified the attack for a while, and then they started scoring runs. And then when, Glenn Phillips was, well and truly into his stride, he put his foot down on the accelerator. And, he is a power hitter. He's only a little bloke, but he's so muscular and powerful, and he hits the ball in funny areas. He's good with all the reverse sweeps and the fancy shots, but he's also got genuine power down the ground. And he exhibited that was perfect what he did today.
And there were some very awkward-looking shots as well, but he was getting the job done for New Zealand. Let's have a look at how the first inning in particular panned out in this particular game. So once again, New Zealand batting first. Their openers were so good in the previous game, getting out cheaply. Kane Williamson too, being the 3rd wicket down. However, that 4th wicket partnership, that stabilized the inning. Down the order, there was a cameo. However, not much contribution, and that's why, like Wasim just mentioned, in an innings that saw 167 scored, the contribution of 104 from Glenn Phillips really stands out. As far as the bowling is concerned, Mahesh Theekshana, once again, we've been talking about him. He was handed the very first over and he responded with a crucial wicket of Finn Allen, and Ranjitha playing his first T20I in 3 years, managing to bag 2 wickets. Dhananjay Silva as well getting a wicket in the power play over. Hasaranga eventually costing 22 runs to Sri Lanka, but picking up the wicket of Darryl Mitchell. Lahiru Kumara expensive today after his fury spell in the previous game, 1 wicket to him, and Jamika Karunarutne returning wicketless. सबसे पहले यहाँ पे वसीम बात करना चाहूंगी, महेश तीक्ष्णा ने जो विकेट निकाला, ऐसा लग रहा था कि स्पिनर ने बॉल को स्विंग इन कराया, इन स्विंग कराया।
जी हाँ, उनके पास वैरायटी है, मिस्ट्री बॉलर है तो 2-3 उनके पास ऑप्शन है। और थोड़ा-सा एक्सपेक्टेड भी था कि फिन एलन तेज़ गेंदबाजी पसंद करते हैं, आके अटैक करते हैं। तो ये हम एक्सपेक्ट भी कर रहे थे कि पावर प्ले में थिकशना बॉलिंग करेंगे, थोड़ा-सा पेस ऑफ करेंगे और एक्चुअली इट पेड डिविडेंड्स। एक बड़ा विकेट मिला उनको। दे वर 3 फॉर नथिंग एंड एक्ज़ैक्टली द स्टार्ट प्रोबेबली श्रीलंका वांटेड। बट उसके बाद में जब जब हम स्कोर कार्ड भी देखते हैं मेघना, तो एक ही 22 रन्स की इनिंग है, बट उसके अलावा कोई भी कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं है। सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि हाउ important knock that was. I mean, phenomenal for a guy to score 104 out of 167. The other guy has only managed 53 runs क्योंकि 10 एक्स्ट्रा थे। 3 नो बॉल भी डाले श्रीलंका ने। तो उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट से आई फील इट वाज रिमार्केबल नॉक, क्योंकि कोई दूसरा बैट्समैन आइदर इनिंग्स में, दोनों ही टीम में, couldn't get going. So they were 3 for nothing. दोनों ही टीम के top 3 actually couldn't contribute. But for him to come out and get 104 is absolutely outstanding.
And that really gets underlined by the fact that we saw how the batters were struggling, Stuart, against the low bounce, unpredictable bounce. They were not able to get their timing right, at least initially in New Zealand's inning.
Yeah, that can happen. I like the fact that you walk out and have a look at the cricket pitch and you try and exactly come up with what it's going to do. You've got no idea until you actually start playing on it. And that was the case. It looked a good pitch, a new pitch, so you would expect it to be perfect for batting and what have you. But also don't take too much away from the Sri Lankan bowlers as well. I thought the new ball was used perfectly. Thiksana taking the wicket of Finn Allen. Finn Allen wouldn't have seen much of Thiksana or that type of bowling, and to play against it in a high pressure situation like this, it's very difficult. Rajitha he's been around a while. He's a quality seam bowler, and he can get it down. He takes the ball away from the right handers as well as brings it back in at good pace, and he's quite a tall man as well. Then in Jaya De Silva, he bowls these non-spinning spinners, which in the modern day game, that's one of the hardest balls to hit, the non-spinning spinner. So they stuck together well. I thought they bowled really well in the partnership, but New Zealand just ended up having all the answers towards the back end of that innings.
The power plays were very crucial in this particular game. When Sri Lanka were batting, of course, New Zealand managed to break their bat. Now, the contrast here is very glaring. In the game against Australia, New Zealand raced off to 65 within the power play overs. Today was a very contrasting performance. They could just manage 25, and that too with the loss of 3 wickets, just 3 boundaries to their name within those power play overs. But eventually, as they say, all's well that ends well, and that's true in the context of this game, eventually managing 167 and a victory as well. लेकिन रजीता का हम जिक्र कर रहे थे कि किस तरह 3 साल के बाद वापसी की उन्होंने इस मुकाबले में 3 ओवर पावर प्ले के अंदर किए, एक डेथ में मिला और काफी टाइडी फिगर्स उनके रहे, कंस्ट्रिंग बाकी जो गेंदबाज थे उनके जैसे फिगर्स रहे।
जी हाँ, आई मीन इतना आसान नहीं है कि आप 3 साल के बाद आ रहे हो और सीधा वर्ल्ड कप का इतना इम्पोर्टेंट मैच खेल रहे हो। तो क्रेडिट है रजीता के लिए कि आके पावर प्ले में फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बॉलिंग करना, इवन दो द स्कोर कार्ड वुड हैव हेल्प्ड कि दे वर 5 for 3, बट अगेन आके परफॉर्मेंस करना, डेथ में बॉलिंग करना, इट्स नॉट इजी, स्पेशली आप इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट इतने ब्रेक के बाद खेलते हो। तो credit to Kasun Rajita, but all the other guys also, बहुत कितनी बार हम देखते हैं मेघना के जब टीम पावर प्ले के अंदर 3 विकेट लूज कर जाती है, उसके बाद वहां से रिकवरी करना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है। तो अगेन गोइंग बैक टू द सेम थिंग कि अगर ये ग्लेन फिलिप्स की इनिंग नहीं होती तो प्रोबेबली न्यूजीलैंड 120 या 130 का स्कोर बनाता, which wouldn't have been a par score. Not many teams can do that, but it goes on to show क्योंकि श्रीलंका के भी 3 विकेट बहुत जल्दी गिर गए थे, बट वो इनिंग उनकी तरफ से किसी ने नहीं खेल पाया। इनफैक्ट 2 ही डबल डिजिट के स्कोर हुए, एक राजापक्षा और शना का। तो goes on to show के such a high quality innings from Glenn Phillips. Otherwise, New Zealand were out of this game.
my producer kept chirping into my ears throughout the innings, particularly after the power plays, how Sri Lanka didn't really go for the kill after having mastered the power play over. Stuart, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's a tough one for the captain, isn't it? You got your spinners doing the job, but the spinner has to play a role later on in the innings. And he was probably thinking, if he doesn't bowl those overs at the end of the innings, who's going to bowl those? I think in the moment, if you've got a team on toast, you put the foot to the throat. And that probably didn't happen for Shanaka today. But you got to take the good with the bad, I suppose. He thinks Shana started well. Who knows? He might have bowled the next 2 overs for plenty of runs. There's always life by hindsight. But I think at the time, you can sit here, you can look into what happened. Yeah, he may not have bowled Theekshana enough. He would have posed problems for all the batsmen when they first come in. But if they had got through that may have posed a problem for Sri Lanka towards the back end of the innings. Anyway, it didn't matter today. They weren't in the races. New Zealand came out, through that tough period and, got the job done.
And Vanindu Hasaranga came back after that tough game against Australia, and his arm kept going lower. There was this one ball on which he almost went on his knees, Vaseem.
Yeah, I mean, this Sydney pitch, obviously, it's not bouncing like the other pitches that, they played so far. But Sydney does aid spin. We all know that. And Hasaranga is very valuable bowler for them. If he picks wickets, then we know Sri Lanka does well. So, I mean, him not picking up wickets after they being 8 for 4, even though he got Daryl Mitchell out. But had he picked 1 or 2 wickets there, they would have been in the game. For them, Hasaranga not picking up wickets in that middle period, sometimes hurts Sri Lanka. Because they rely so much on spin. Theekshana picking up Finn Allen, such an important wicket. Had he picked, another wicket, Hasaranga, things would have been different.
And there was a catch that went down on his bowling as well. Well, that's how the first innings shaped up. Let's have a look at the second innings, how New Zealand responded with the ball in the second innings, and they dealt blow after blow, didn't allow partnerships to flourish, barring a brief one between Rajapaksha and Shanaka. Nisanka being the first one to go, and Kusal Mendes followed suit. Afterwards, at one point, Sri Lanka were 8 for 4, and then New Zealand didn't allow Sri Lanka to crawl back into the game. Rajapaksha, an important innings from the point of view of his confidence for him, 34 runs to his name of 22 deliveries. Shanaka as well. We were talking about his dry spell in between. He staged a comeback in this game and he scored 35 of 32. Barring that, no other batsman managed to register 2 figures. गेंदबाजी में टिम साउदी ने 1 विकेट निकाला और उसके बाद ट्रेंट बोल्ट का वो दूसरा ओवर जिसमें 2 विकेट उन्होंने निकाले. पारी का दूसरा ओवर था और उसके बाद जब अपने दूसरे ओवर को लेकर आए फिर एक और विकेट निकाला. लॉकी फर्गुसन के नाम भी 1 विकेट रहा. मिच सैंटनर ने भी 2 विकेट निकाले और ईश सोढी को भी 2 विकेट मिले. तो कंप्लीट परफॉर्मेंस गेंदबाजी में न्यूजीलैंड की तरफ से एंड इनफैक्ट ओवरऑल भी वसीम देखें क्लिनिकल परफॉर्मेंस वो पावर प्ले के ओवर्स को हटा दे न्यूजीलैंड की तरफ से जिस तरह का प्रदर्शन रहा एब्सोल्युटली कंप्लीट परफॉर्मेंस.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. आई मीन और कितनी बार हम देखते हैं मेघना के ट्रेंट बोल्ट जब ऑन सॉन्ग होते हैं, he does that so many times. He's done that to India in the last World Cup. I remember in 2019, he gets 2-3 quick wickets and he puts you behind the game. 4 for 13 in 4 overs, absolutely magical. When the ball starts to swing in, he makes life difficult for the batters, and exactly what he did. Him and Tim Saudi, I mean, fantastic pair with the new ball. When the ball is swinging, there's not many bowlers who can do that. And Trent Bolt does it again and again. He's such an important bowler for them in the power play. So, and after that, they've got the backups of Lockie and obviously Mitchell Santner, Sodhi. So they've got really good backups as well. When the other teams are, 5 for 3, 8 for 4, like I said, Sri Lanka needed somebody like Bhanuka and Shanaka who got 30s to put on maybe 60 or 70 and would have gone closer to the total, because losing close to 60 runs would have hurt their net run rate, because this table in this group, it's going to the end probably. So that net run rate will matter. So Sri Lanka will be upset that, they lost the game, but they didn't go close enough. So those two guys, if they put on a little bit more partnership, had they gone 50 or 60, Sri Lanka would have at least gone closer.
Hmm. And coming back to Trent Bolt's bowling, there were some slow ones as well in between. Early on, up front, there was a cutter, there was a knuckleball. But the tweets that we are bringing, they'd not be slow, they'd be pacey, they'd be fiery, because we are moving on to our next segment, that's Social Tracker. So, quite a lopsided game, but a lot of conversation around it. एक ट्वीट हमारे सामने है ग्लेन फिलिप्स प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर ओलंपिक्स बिकॉज वहां पे हम इतना सारा चर्चा हो रहा है कि किस तरह से नॉन स्ट्राइकर एंड पे डिसमिसल्स हो रहे हैं. यहाँ पे ग्लेन फिलिप्स ने एक अच्छा एग्जांपल सेट किया और दिखाया कि वो स्प्रिंट के लिए पूरी तरह से तैयार है. Has there ever been a better pair of T20 opening bowlers than Bolt and Saudi? Indeed, I mean, that's a tough question to answer. Our experts would take that up. Brilliant performance and in tandem by them again in today's game. And the name is Glenn Phillips, and you can see him roaring. Every reason to roar. The way he helped his team make a comeback in this game post 167 courtesy his done and a very well calculated done. It's not New Zealand versus Sri Lanka. It's Sri Lankan bowlers versus Sri Lankan fielders. काफी डिसअपॉइंटमेंट मिली श्रीलंकन बॉलर्स को क्योंकि फील्डर्स ने बैट नहीं किया जब अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट की श्रीलंका के गेंदबाजों ने. और इस वर्ल्ड कप में हमने देखा है कि बहुत सारे चांसेस ग्रास किए हैं श्रीलंकन फील्डर्स ने 8 एटलीस्ट. और इसके अलावा श्रीलंका इज जस्ट मेकिंग श्योर that everybody should get batting in this match, including coaches. Well, the coaches, their turn didn't come, but we get the thrust over here. Sri Lanka, of course, they're losing their wickets and football match, and there's this fire emoji because the scoreline seems to suggest so. You don't always see a 5-3 scoreline in a cricket game, and 5-3 within a few minutes of the innings starting. Neighbors for a reason. India 5 for 3 in 3.1 overs, and then Sri Lanka themselves being 5 for 3. That's quite a deja vu that Indian fans would want to forget very quickly, and the bold imprint over it very clear. Now, of course, that tweet on Bolt and Saudi and how good they've been. We talk so much about batting partnerships, Stuart, but this Bolt partnership.
Yeah, they've been outstanding. They're tremendous servants to not only New Zealand cricket but to world cricket. They put on a show when they've got the conditions that suit them. Tim Southey normally bowls outswing, Trent Bolt bowls in swing left arm, and if they've got the right conditions, they're a terrible pair to come up against if you're an opening batsman for sure. They make the new ball definitely swing seam. They've got all the tricks, knuckle balls, cutters, slower balls. And they're quick enough. They're not super quick, but they're quick enough to really give you a hurry up as well. So they have been brilliant. Whether they're the best going around, probably tonight they are. That's for sure. Whether they're the best going around in world cricket, it remains to be seen. There's a couple of good, decent fast bowlers in this tournament, and there's a couple of injured players that aren't here as well. Bumrah is definitely one of those. Him and Booby be tough work as well. But Southey and Bolt, hats off to them. They bowled beautifully tonight. They have done for a number of years, and they certainly put Sri Lanka to bed tonight.
और वसीम, आपके हिसाब से आप किन ओपनिंग बॉलर्स को नॉमिनेट करेंगे वन ऑफ द बेस्ट इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ T20 क्रिकेट?
वेल आई थिंक T20 में ये दोनों जो बॉलर्स हैं साउदी और बोल्ट, ये ऑल थ्री फॉर्मेट्स में दे हैव बीन अ फैंटास्टिक पेयर, not just in T20 but in Test, in one day. So that is a phenomenal record. We've seen Anderson and Broad. They played a long time, but they don't play T20s. They don't play in one days also. But in Test cricket, they are pretty good. But to do that in all three formats is outstanding. There have been some great names. You've got Wasim and Waqar, you've got Glenn McGrath, Jason Gillespie. There's plenty of fast bowler. But in recent times in T20 cricket, I would say Team Saudi and Trent Bolt are right up there among one of the best.
Among one of the best is what Wasim was mentioning. Well, Stuart, we'd urge you to bring out at least a couple of names that you think your favorites as bowling pairs.
My bowling pair favourites. Anderson and Broad, they're outstanding what they do for England cricket in England. Wasim and Waka. They were awesome. I was lucky enough, well, unlucky enough to play against them. But to actually see them go about their business was outstanding. Courtney Walsh, Courtney Ambrose, they were pretty good as well.
Well, the two of you are not too far away, physically talking as well, in terms of where you are located geographically. And your opinions too are not too far away, very much in unison on most topics. It's really nice to see the sort of unity there. But now moving on and zeroing in again on the second innings and the way it sailed up. गेंदबाजी में हमने पेसर्स का जिक्र कर लिया, स्पिनर्स ने भी बहुत अच्छा प्रदर्शन किया. इमीडिएटली पावर प्ले ओवर के बाद सैंटनर को इंट्रोड्यूस किया एंड ही वाज
जी बिल्कुल, आई मीन सैंटनर बहुत ही अच्छे क्रिकेटर है. आई मीन ही इज जस्ट नॉट अ गुड लेफ्ट आर्म स्पिनर, बहुत टॉल है, सो ही मेक्स इट हार्ड. इतना इजी नहीं होता है, एंड ही हैज गॉट रियली गुड नंबर्स अगेंस्ट लेफ्ट हैंडर. समबडी फॉर अ लेफ्ट आर्म स्पिनर इट्स नॉट रियली इजी, एंड ही bowls really well to left hander surprisingly. And he's a very good lower order batsman. He's won games on his batting. So even after that, top bowlers, Bolt and Saudi and Lockie Ferguson. They've got really good spinners with Itch Sodi and Mitchell Santner, which makes up for a really, combined, a really good attack. So New Zealand, we all know they turn it on in the ICC events. So you don't count them out. They put their names up there. They're probably likely to go through to the semi-finals, which they always do in ICC events, and they've got the ingredients. They've got the batters, and they've got multiple match winners. In the last game we've seen Finn Allen, Devon Conway did well. This game we've got Glenn Phillips, Trent Bolt. So they've got multiple match winners, and that can be dangerous for the teams that they are going to play them.
You mentioned about names up there. Now we're almost a week into the tournament, 2020 World Cup 2022. Let's have a look at the names up there as far as the most wickets, most runs are concerned. So first talking about the highest run getters for this tournament, Kusal Mendes still at the top. Didn't have a great run today, but overall has played 6 matches, including the group stage, having accumulated 180 runs at a good strike rate of 156. Max O'Dowd as well, scoring well in this tournament, 5 matches and a strike rate of 123 and an average of 38 to his name. सिकंदर रजा लगातार शानदार प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं. बल्लेबाजी के चार्ट में तो आप उन्हें देख ही रहे हैं, गेंदबाजी के भी चार्ट में टॉप में आते हैं सिकंदर रजा. इस टूर्नामेंट में शानदार प्रदर्शन रहा है, काफी सारे प्लेयर ऑफ द मैच अवार्ड भी जीते हैं. विराट कोहली कल वापस उन पर निगाहें होंगी. 2 मैचेस में बैक टू बैक मैच विनिंग पारियां उन्होंने खेली है. एवरेज उनका नहीं कैलकुलेट हो सकता बिकॉज दोनों मैचेस में अनबीटन रहे विराट कोहली. 144 रन उन्होंने बनाए हैं. स्ट्राइक रेट भी शानदार रहा है, 148. शानदार तरीके से अपने इनिंग्स को पेश किया है. पाथुम निसंका आज जल्दी आउट हो गए, पहले ओवर के अंदर ही चलते बने, लेकिन कुल 5 मैचेस में 137 रन बनाए हैं. लगातार स्ट्राइक रेट पे प्रश्न उठ रहा है क्योंकि अब तो वो 100 के भी नीचे चला गया है. अब बात करते हैं गेंदबाजों की कि सबसे अच्छा प्रदर्शन इस टूर्नामेंट में किन गेंदबाजों का रहा है. वानिंदु हसरंगा आज 1 विकेट इनके नाम रहा और कुल 10 विकेट अभी तक 6 मैचेस में इनके नाम रहे हैं. इकोनॉमी रही है 7.08 की. पिछले मुकाबले ने थोड़ी सी इकोनॉमी खराब कर दी, वरना जस्ट इमेजिन 3 ओवर में जहां 50 से ज्यादा रन बने उसके बावजूद मेंटेन करके रखी है 7.08 की इकोनॉमी. महेश तीक्ष्ण विकेट्स तो निकाल ही रहे हैं अप फ्रंट, साथ ही साथ इकोनॉमिकल भी रहे हैं अपनी गेंदबाजी में. 6 मुकाबले में 9 विकेट इनके नाम रहे हैं और इकोनॉमी रही है 6.63 की. बैस डिलीट पिछले मुकाबले में भारत के खिलाफ कुछ खास छाप नहीं छोड़ पाए, लेकिन अदरवाइज इस टूर्नामेंट में स्टेलर 5 मुकाबले खेले हैं, इकोनॉमी 8.66 की रही है, लेकिन विकेट्स निकालते रहे. 9 विकेट इनके नाम है और जैसा हमने पहले मेंशन किया था सिकंदर रजा, जी हाँ, हाईएस्ट विकेट टेकर्स की लिस्ट में भी इनका नाम टॉप 5 में है और इनके नाम 8 विकेट रहे हैं. ब्लेसिंग मुजरबानी के बारे में पिछले मुकाबले में हमने कितना जिक्र किया था और क्यों ना करते, इतना शानदार उनका प्रदर्शन रहा. जिम्बाब्वे के लिए लगातार अच्छा प्रदर्शन करते आए हैं. 5 मुकाबले में 7 विकेट उनके नाम रहे. इकोनॉमी भी 7.06 की रही है. और अब देखते हैं पॉइंट्स टेबल किस तरीके से अभी है इस मुकाबले के बाद. तो ग्रुप 1 की स्थिति कुछ ऐसी है. न्यूजीलैंड का एनविएबल नेट रन रेट, 2 बड़े मार्जिन से विक्ट्री उन्होंने हासिल की है. एक मुकाबला वॉश आउट रहा था, तो इसीलिए 5 कुल पॉइंट उनके पास है. ऑस्ट्रेलिया के खिलाफ 89 रन की विक्ट्री और उसके बाद आज श्रीलंका के खिलाफ 65 रन की विक्ट्री ने इंश्योर किया है कि नेट रन रेट तकरीबन 4 के करीब है. इंग्लैंड आयरलैंड के खिलाफ वो मुकाबला हारा और उसके बाद एक गेम ऑस्ट्रेलिया के खिलाफ वॉश आउट हुआ, तो अभी उनके पास कुल 3 पॉइंट्स है. अफगानिस्तान के खिलाफ 2 पॉइंट्स एकत्रित किए थे. आयरलैंड भी अभी कंटेंशन में है क्योंकि दोनों ही ग्रुप में स्थिति काफी दिलचस्प हो गई है, जैसा हमने पहले मेंशन किया बारिश के कारण भी। आयरलैंड के पास है 3 पॉइंट्स, ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने भी 3 मुकाबले खेले हैं, 3 पॉइंट्स उनके भी नाम। श्रीलंका के नेट रन रेट पे भारी चोट पड़ी आज की हार के बाद, और उसके बाद ऑस्ट्रेलिया के खिलाफ भी बड़े मार्जिन से हार का सामना करना पड़ा था। 2 पॉइंट अभी उनके नाम है। अफगानिस्तान भी 2 पॉइंट्स के साथ is languishing at the bottom of the table. Talking about Group 2. Now, India is at the top. Chance for India to put one foot into the semi-finals with another victory, and they'll be facing off against South Africa in the next game. South Africa की भी निगाहें जीत की तरफ ही होगी। उनके पास 3 पॉइंट्स हैं, 2 मुकाबले खेले, एक मुकाबला में बारिश के कारण पॉइंट शेयर करने पड़े। जिम्बाब्वे पिछले मुकाबले में इस तरह से पाकिस्तान को 1 रन से हराया था, और साउथ अफ्रीका के खिलाफ बारिश के कारण 1 थे। बांग्लादेश, पाकिस्तान, नेदरलैंड्स की स्थिति अभी काफी ज्यादा गंभीर हो गई है। अब कल जो सुपर संडे है उसमें काफी धमाका होने वाला है। 3 मुकाबले देखने को मिलेंगे कल के दिन, और ये मुकाबलों की शुरुआत होगी पहले बांग्लादेश और जिम्बाब्वे के बीच के गेम से, जो कि सुबह खेला जाएगा भारतीय टाइम के हिसाब से। ब्रिस्बेन में ये मुकाबला होना है, और उसके बाद जो दूसरा गेम है ट्रिपल हेडर का, उसमें पाकिस्तान सामने होगी नेदरलैंड्स के, और उसके बाद होगा भारत और साउथ अफ्रीका का क्लैश। और ग्रुप 2 के सारी ही टीमें कल होंगी एक्शन में। थोड़ा सा नजर डालते हैं कि क्या कुछ एक्सपेक्ट किया जा सकता है। फर्स्ट अप वसीम, हालांकि दिन का आखिरी मुकाबला है, लेकिन आपकी प्रतिक्रिया सबसे पहले उसी मुकाबले पे लूंगी, इंडिया एंड साउथ अफ्रीका।
जी हाँ, बहुत अच्छा मैच होने वाला है। पर्थ पे होगा मैच, तो फास्ट बॉलर्स ऑब्वियसली थोड़ा उनका गेम होगा, क्योंकि उनको मदद मिलेगी। स्पिनर्स को हो सकता है कि शायद बाउंस मिले, लेकिन शायद विकेट से इतनी मदद ना मिले स्पिनर को। तो एक अच्छा स्कोर, ऑब्वियसली अगर भारत पहले बैटिंग करता है तो एक अच्छा स्कोर खड़ा करना ऑब्वियसली बहुत जरूरी है। हमने देखा है कि 130 रन भी जिम्बाब्वे ने डिफेंड कर लिया था अगेंस्ट पाकिस्तान, तो मे भी एक बहुत बड़ा स्कोर मे भी शायद नहीं होगा। 150 160 का स्कोर शायद हमको देखने को मिले। और साउथ अफ्रीका भी बड़ी अच्छी क्रिकेट खेल के आ रही है, जिस तरह से उन्होंने जिम्बाब्वे को हराया है, जिस तरह से उन्होंने बांग्लादेश को हराया, जिम्बाब्वे के सामने बड़े डोमिनेटिंग पोजीशन में थे। तो मुझे लगता है बहुत क्रंच मैच होगा। अगर ऑब्वियसली भारत जीतता है तो 1 फुट ऑब्वियसली सेमीफाइनल में होगा। वेयर इज सिमिलरली अगर साउथ अफ्रीका जीतता है तो पाकिस्तान लिटरली आउट हो जाएगा टूर्नामेंट में। तो बहुत कुछ डिपेंड है इस मैच में कि टूर्नामेंट में टीमें कहाँ जाने वाली है।
And Stuart, Pakistan would be keen to prove they are better than what the points table at the moment seems to suggest.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. It's been the first loss to India was heartbreaking. The last for Pakistan anyway, not for India. And then the other day was just they didn't see that coming. That's for sure. Zimbabwe, had other ideas. So Pakistan obviously very hurt. Not only hurt amongst the team, they've hurt their fans and what have you, and they want to put it right. I think that they'll come out all guns blazing, and I think they'll put on a show that we'll enjoy sitting down to watch.
Exciting day of cricket awaits us tomorrow, and we'll be connected with you throughout the day at Runneeti, brought to you by Bad Crick 7 and CricTracker. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot to the viewers for joining in. We'll await you tomorrow as well.